All right, we are looking at closing up some of these openings. Should be able to see daylight there. There should be a nice little tray here. I'm trying to look to force a lot more air into that radiator instead of giving it an escape down below. So we have a few usable holes right here on the bottom of our radiator mount. A couple of N6s already nut-certed in here. I already had this cut. It is 48 inches wide and about 11 inches deep. So it's gonna close this off. It's gonna make it look a lot better when you're looking at the car. You don't see the road underneath, and it's gonna increase the airflow going to the radiator to further cool this battery pack as the coolant flows through it. So let's do that. Well, that is it for this. We went ahead and closed off, and now all that air is gonna be forced right to that radiator. But I also put a couple of end caps here on the side of the radiators, and then we close it off with foam. So the air has nowhere to go except through that radiator, and then where it goes past that, as long as it goes down and under the car, we're good. So I have installed a parking brake on this thing, or two of them, that were already pre-installed on the brake rotors when we got this subframe, when we got the drive unit from Tesla Parts. We have been able to activate them, not using the usual controller that comes out of a Tesla. Normally there's a logic controlled board, there's 4 wires, and it's very intelligent, and it's Tesla. We were able to use just 2 of those wires on these brake calipers, and when you reverse the polarity, it changes between applying the e-brake and retracting the e-brake. This is the first time that I'm testing the car with the weight of the car on a slight hill. I still have my foot on the brake, I'm in neutral. I'm gonna let my foot off the brake, and I'm gonna go ahead and step outside of the car and fully trust this thing. There's a big leap of faith right here. Oh. And then of course, I have it on setting 1, so she's sitting pretty as well. There it is. Probably like a 1% grade, but I didn't want to go straight to like a 20% grade and test the e-brake. We're capturing Sean's first time driving the Tesla.
I feel so
the Tesla Z.
weird. I wasn't even halfway on the pedal.
Nope.
Oh shit. Oh my god. It's not like a regular car either. You just step on it and it goes. That's so cool.
Well, we have all of our undercarriage items installed aside from our AC compressor. I've seen a lot of comments about putting a protective under tray on this. Well, we already thought of that. And if you don't believe me, you guys can take a look at what I got over here. This is our, this is an 1/8 inch aluminum. We had it water jetted and sent our way. This is kind of a marrying plate. This is so that if you're working on anything in the back, you can just take off this back plate. If you're working on anything in the front, you just take it off. In order to have an under tray on the frame rails like this, basically the frame rail was one of our lift points, and we changed to the tie down hook right here in order to try to incorporate and not be pressing on the under tray when we're lifting the car up. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is kind of go to this point. I'm going to notch out for a lift arm to still be able to use this tie down place.
Solid, dude. Next step's gonna be we're gonna round things off. They're in there, smooth these out, and then that's it.
Right now I'm doing the final cuts in order to get around some of these low points before this can sit flush with the frame rails. This is kind of the initial square that we cut out, and then this is actually sitting lower than the platform that we want to mate these guys. you'll notice that this whole underside is now protected by an 1/8-inch thick aluminum plate that goes all the way up to the cross member, all the way back to overlap that back battery box. So now all of the innards of this car are protected. It's a lot quieter now when we drive it because none of the road noise is seeping right through the pan. None of that wind is blowing through any of the cracks or anything in the center tunnel until we get Dynamat to plug all that up. All right, well, we have acquired ourselves a performance motor. So this casing already has upgrades that QC Charge did. They put in a drainage system in case any of the seals break. We have worked with Tesla parts and we have gotten a performance inverter, which is gonna pull more amperage, it's gonna give us more horsepower and torque. So now we gotta test our whole system with the independent cooling system for the drive unit and the onboard charger.
Okay.
We're gonna pull this whole thing out without draining the system at all.
Okay.
And then we're gonna drain the system. Oh, wait. So the reason that I am having to drain it is because coolant actually runs through IGBT boards that are in here. That's why we're draining it. Otherwise, if we were just taking this out to put it in another car, it could stay closed, it could stay filled, and we would have no problem.
Alright, so I'm gonna take both flares off and the rear bumper off so we can have all the space and more that we need to remove the rear driving unit. I didn't call it an engine because then we'll get mad.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video that I was watching last night. It said, "What's inside a Tesla engine?"
What was it?
Nothing, because there's no Tesla engines ever. So these are our 3 lifting points. This is the heaviest side of the motor right here. There are 3 eyelet locations that kind of help bear the weight of the heavy winding copper motor. The lighter side is this inverter, so that doesn't have an eyelet for us to hook to. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop our CV axles out. We're gonna hook to all 3 of these eyelet locations. This is gonna be left sitting, and we're gonna actually lift this up and out so that I can get to the inverter and be able to pull it that way. We have to get it outside of the subframe in order to do that.
All right, well, where are we at right now?
Well, it was a hell of a process just because of some of the added stuff that we put on the subframe to make it a dropout system. I went ahead and set this on a wood. It's bearing just a little bit of weight. I still have it supported here. This is just so that I can work with this and it's not swinging around on me. But this is our base drive unit. This is what we're gonna be replacing. These are your IGBT boards. It's a fun little acronym to say. And there's logic inside of here and just kind of power allowance that is gonna be upgraded when we step up to a performance inverter. So this is what I gotta take up to Revolt Systems. We're gonna reflash with that EV Controls T2C. We're gonna work with him and get that T2C talking to a whole new inverter. These are the 3 phases. This is where our high voltage plugs in. This is our positive and negative of the battery. And then this is 1 phase, 2 phase, 3 phase, and that's what actually gets your motor spinning. There's a logic board underneath here. There's some wire connections that I need to take off. There's some thermistors and power sensing and all that. Once I unplug that, I have a few bolts to remove here. This cap is taken off. And then inside of there, all the way back here against this surface is 15 more Torx 25 bolts. I'll remove those. This will slide off. I'll hook it under my arm and I'll take it up to Eddie at Revolt Systems. And then I'll bring the new one back, talking to our T2C, put it back on here. Ricky and I will reverse this whole process, get that whole system back up in there, and we're gonna have more power.
So we're not getting a full whole new motor.
No. We don't want to replace this because this already has some upgrades as well. In fact, I'll show you on the casing. Ugh. This hump right here with push to connect drainage, these normally aren't on here. This is something that QC Charge did when they put in our limited slip differential, changed out our seals and bearings. They welded in this nice drainage system. You can see their cut marks. You can see that there was some fluids in here and they just drain right out. I don't know if this is from, I don't think this is from us. I think it's whatever was in here previously. Or maybe it's just their cutting fluid that left some etchings in here. But anyways, that's normally not there. That is a good upgrade that they performed. That's pretty cool. It's also on the gearbox. It's also on the motor and rotor and stator. There's drainage out of here. So that your antifreeze doesn't actually sit on these circuits and all this electronic stuff and start corroding it and basically blowing your motor. And thank you very much to Tesla Parts for getting us this new inverter. So the nice thing about these Tesla drive units, these large drive units, is that from here over is the same with some of the models. This is what you can exchange to get more power. All it is some of the circuitry is just a little bit different, pulls more amperage from a battery pack to give you more output when you're driving. So instead of pulling 900 amps, which is what this is, roughly 900, it's gonna do 1150 amps. So that higher amperage is gonna give you more torque and it's gonna let you pull that torque further in the power band.
Do you, off the top of your head, like know what that equates to, like in horsepower?
Sure. This is this drive unit right here, pulling at 900 amps, gives you 330 foot-pounds of torque and 450 horsepower. Now, when we step up to the performance motor, baseline, or pretty sure the ludicrous motor is about 450 pound-feet of torque, 675 horsepower, and that's pulling about 1200 amps. We'll be a little bit below that, I think. Well, I am up here at Revolt Systems. So these are guys, you might recognize them as the ones who broke the land speed record for EV. They took a 444 car, the little giant, out to the salts and at Bonneville and broke the international record. So they have a little bit of weight under their belt. This is kind of the ultimate man cave. This is where he makes all of his stuff happen. He's already got the drive unit that is gonna house our inverter that we are gonna take and put in our Z. So it's right here. We actually got it prepped up. We have a wiring harness. We have our TTC that I took out of the Z, and we have a power supply. We're gonna go ahead and flash this thing to work with this inverter, and then he and I are gonna take this out. I'm gonna drive it down into the shop and we're gonna put it in our Z. So the man right here, Eddie B.
How you guys doing?
How you guys doing?
I got my boy Snow over here with me too.
Yes, sir.
Hey. So basically, this is the 23 pin connector. This wiring harness was provided to us by a very good friend of mine. You might know him. Will, I think his name is. So, Will, thanks for creating a cool little wiring harness. So once that's clicked in, there's the click I was waiting for. We got our throttle pillar here. We have our EV Controls T2C. This is the same one that you guys used on the base motor. So they work on base and they work on performance motors. We just have to reflash it and make it work for this particular application.
Well, shoot, there wasn't much to see there. We were able to plug in. He was going back and forth with the guys at EV Controls and they flashed us. So these two are talking now. Well, I'm back here at the shop underneath the Z, and we're gonna go ahead and compare really quickly visually the base unit and the performance inverter. Not much visually to see other than the fact that base is green boards and performance is red boards. So in this case, red means go, because that's gonna go ahead and give us more power, more amperage, more horsepower, more power. Other than that, they are very, very close, just kind of looking between the two. Well, Ricky and I just hammered out putting the drive unit back into the subframe. So we are good, all mounted up. My pump is sitting right there. That still needs to be mounted back over there again. Tomorrow we're gonna get back together and we're gonna put the CV axles back in. We're gonna mount the radiator. We're going to put the pump back in, and I'm gonna upgrade the coolant system a little bit. So tomorrow we'll get back at it. Back in. Ricky is finishing up the brake caliper on the driver's side, but subframe is back in. We've gotten pretty fast at this whole thing. So now what we got to do is we're going to set up our breather coolant fill system that we have. I don't know what the heck that thing is called. It's cool though. And we're going to fill this thing up. We're going to just kind of bypass and do some 12 volt to one of our pumps. Just kind of push the fluid through, breathe the air out, and then this thing's ready to get wheels on, set on the ground, and start driving.
All right, so right now Will is gonna turn everything on, and if everything is working properly, then everything should be the same, right? Nothing should change.
Nothing should have changed in here other than the fact that I need to basically marry to the new drive unit with our app.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, the battery's dead on this, so I gotta let it charge for a little bit.
On that?
Yeah.
On the pad?
No, on the pad it's dead, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Let's hit the burnout. Let's hit the burnout button. See what happens.
Nothing.
Okay. Power went there.
And you open that, turn that on.
This is on. I'm hearing fluids, I'm hearing both pumps go. So the BMS is on, both pumps are running, 100% battery charge is giving me battery temperatures. I'm gonna hit the EV Controls app now that we have power to this. And yeah, I think we're connected. Let me, we're in neutral right now. I'm just gonna put it into neutral or into drive and see if they idle forward.
All right, so we finally got the wheels on, and we are gonna put it on drive.
Yes, sir.
All right, so if it spins, that means we're all good.
If it spins, that means we're all good. So,
Are you on drive? And he's spinning, which is good. Okay, hold on. Let me check the other side. Okay, go. Reverse.
ready?
Yep. Yep.
Hell yeah.
So the only thing left to do is put it together and take it outside.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the car outside and we have it on the prototype stage, which is just for the test drive. All right, so we have our brand new RT660s on. They are extremely grippy. We're gonna go test drive it with the new inverter. That's it, baby. E-brake off.
Parking brakes. El Drivo.
El Drivo.
Let's go, 3-7.
All right.
Are we 100 over here?
This, yeah, I put it at 400
What does that mean?
kilowatts.
You don't want to go more?
That should be max of what this pulls.
Oh, okay.
All right, I see what you're saying.
Oh, let's blow it up.
All right, let's see if this makes any kind of difference.
Oh, sh.
There's a bit of a difference.
Oh my god. Is the traction control on?
I don't. It's as it would have normally been. So let's hit that. See if that does anything. You ready?
Yeah.
Rolling start here.
Hold on, hold on. Oh no! Bro!
Oh yeah.
Will, hold on. Let me put my seatbelt on. I didn't think. Hold on. Dude, how are we gonna control this?
Dude. Okay, before you could mash it and
Before you can smash it and it'll go straight.
well, it would let go sometimes. Other times it wouldn't. Like this dusty road, it would have let go.
Now
We were
you
way back there.
step on it
Dude.
and you're going sideways no matter what. This is insane. All right, once we clear these cars, let's.
Holy cow! All right, I'm gonna try to do a controlled pull.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
gonna roll onto it.
I don't know what that means, but go ahead.
Roll.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Oh my god!
Well,
Dude,
whatever you did,
that was 75% throttle. I did not go to the middle.
go, 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 go. Full throttle here.
Oh, we got cut off.
No.
Yeah.
Why?
BMS.
Why is the BMS acting up?
It's probably, I probably just got to change the limits now that we have this thing.
Now that we have more.
Holy
Okay.
cow, dude.
Bro, that scared me.
Yeah.
Like no.
Yeah. I've been
that shit
driving this
scared me.
thing since it started running, and
Yeah.
it's scaring me now.
That's what's up, dude. Let's go back.
Okay.
No, I want this thing dialed out before we do shit again.
Ready, Maverick? Let's go, Goose. All right, we have finally gotten this thing out to the track. Freshly changed out the inverter for a performance inverter. We got to see what she does. We got to see how she eats and what she outputs. Let's do this. Okay, that one needs water.
Well, what happened to that last one?
Why when that light turned green, I was like, I'm going.
Yeah, do it. Well, what happened?
It shuts off. It's too much current that the BMS is seeing, so it kills.
You gotta roll
my
into it,
ignition.
eh, bud? So you can't do that?
I gotta roll into it.
Oh, I want to see a nice ripper.
I got some headers you can put together while you're here.
Well, first of all, driving up here is a huge hill, so my voltage is down. When your voltage is lower, your amperage goes up to try to make up for that power. And so I'm pulling more amperage than what the BMS wants to see. I have some tweaking to do. We brought out Eddie and Snow from Revolt Systems to help us get the most out of this T2C. They have some experience racing these T2Cs. So he's giving me some pointers. I'm gonna go back to the shop, get this thing on the lift. I'm gonna rewire a couple of things. And the BMS is gonna work better with the T2C. Learning what we learned today, we're better off. So we have the 350Z on the trailer. We got it loaded up. We got a special surprise why that's loaded up. Just below the Civic, we got some fun stuff coming up. So we had our track day yesterday. We found out a couple of bugs, went into programming, did some wiring changes and some programming. We can now pull anything we want out of this. It's working perfectly. So we'll see you guys then in the upcoming episode. Can't wait. We'll see you then.